what's up, everybody? Welcome to a special episode of the Rock Band stream. We're here today to talk about sort of the near-ish future of the series, going through the rest of the year, a little bit of 2018. We've got some DLC to show off and some updates to talk about. And so we've brought along some very special guests. Two. There's a few other people.
Hi. Do we need to introduce ourselves?
Yes, especially you.
I'm John. I've actually just recently returned to Harmonix. Aside from a 1.5-year hiatus, I've worked for Harmonix for about 10 years, starting with Rock Band 1. I'm the development lead on Rock Band 4, and that's just a fancy way of saying lead producer.
Yep, and then I've been on this stream a couple of times. My name is Daniel. I've been at Harmonix for most of my adult life, and in fact, most of that time has been spent working on Rock Band in some capacity or another. It's been really fun to have John back, and we're super psyched to kind of talk about some of the stuff that we've been working on, because it's all stuff that we're planning to release, in the near future. So, thanks for setting us up, Derek.
Yeah, no problem. Troy, put me on camera. Thanks. They were just talking off frame. Yeah, so we've got a sort of PowerPoint slideshow to pull up to go through and talk about what we've done so far in Rock Band 4 and what's coming up next.
Troy, someone called me Grandpa in the chat, and they said that they couldn't hear me.
Barely hear him.
It helps if you don't put your mic under your chin and beard.
We'll get there. He's learning about technology.
Also,
It's the grandpa thing.
That seems rude. Although, I might have broken it.
Strong start.
Do you need a light touch?
No, I mean always, but
You can just swap the hand
You can
out
also,
to this
yeah,
point.
I just
really.
handed you a handheld for a reason.
what? Is this awkward? How about this?
No, this is
Does that
about
work?
par for our stream, so.
No.
I don't know.
No?
I'm like 90 years old. I don't understand this newfangled technology.
Use the handheld.
How about now?
Is it on?
It is.
Okay, good. Thank you for doing that step in advance.
What about you guys? Can
They can hear
That'll
you.
be a sec.
thumbs up? Thumbs up?
They can hear you.
Oh, hi.
All
All right.
All right, let's
So,
All right, moving on.
so we're going to talk a bunch about sort of some of the stuff that we have coming up, both content and feature. And then I actually want to kind of open it up to the chat so people can ask questions. Both John and I know a lot about kind of, the last, 25 years of video games, especially Harmonix video games. And, we also are pretty plugged into kind of what we're thinking about for the future, next year and beyond. So, I want to get through the stuff that we know and then see what you all are curious about.
Cool. Yeah. All right, so
Oh, is that my cue?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. If you could pull it up. I don't remember how this thing starts really.
Rock Band Roadmap,
That's
October
today.
24th, 2017. Pew, pew, pew.
It's fun to change the date on this slide every week that we kept.
Why did you change the date?
Because it was supposed to happen like last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, and then we just kept nudging it as we found more stuff.
Why did we nudge it, Derek?
Things happen, Some things got to come out, some things get to go in. It's really a hectic world.
So the story so far, this is really kind of an opportunity that we wanted to take just to kind of frame our relationship to Rock Band 4. I mean, holy
Cow.
shnikes.
There we go.
It's kind of amazing just to sort of like think about the game that we shipped and where we are now. We've added a ton of features, we've added a ton of content, 1 million songs, not 1 million, but close.
We're getting there.
And so, I think, really the takeaway for me here is that, from the very get-go, our commitment was to support Rock Band 4 as a live platform. We've held up our end of the bargain, and there's no end in sight. We're as committed today as we were, in October 2015. I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, you're
Yeah, that
amazing.
really covered it. Yeah. that's what we're covering today, which we've kind of already gone over.
There's a lot, so there's a lot of agenda slides in this deck.
Yes, there are. Upcoming
This is where
seasons,
normally
we
you
haven't
would cue
technically
me
said the
for-
word seasons yet, so that is one we can touch on quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like gonna support them with assets through 2018 for sure. We've like committed to that, and we've already done some like designs.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like I actually caught a lot of flack from the marketing team because I didn't really appreciate how valuable like season rewards would be, and I was like, oh, badges! Everybody loves badges, and then it was like, Daniel, you're an idiot.
No.
We need more. We need more than badges. So I'm super psyched about the helmets. Sean Witt made those. They came out great.
Look really good.
We've released T-shirts that Mitch did. Mitch is one of our environment artists, and he's got a great sense of humor, and that sort of shows up in almost everything he does. And we have some great stuff planned. Actually, Dave Boggy has been working on some awesome stuff, and so.
I did not know who you were talking about when you used his real name.
Right, Dave. I'm like,
Dave Bogdan.
Bogdan.
New people.
So I don't know where. I don't know, we have some visuals. We'll see where they are in the deck. We have not practiced.
I don't remember the order of these slides.
But I
at
think
all,
the first thing we wanted to talk about actually was the improvements that we're making to Rivals mode, and a little bit of why. It's like we're super psyched with Rivals. Personally, I'm in a crew, Bloodstone.
Twice in a row. Yeah.
In a row.
We're in the same crew.
Okay.
Yeah, baby. Although we might have to kick Troy out.
That's
because-
Ooh, is he not putting up the 20K every week?
He played. He does play. He also just got married, so I mean, we have to cut him some slack there. But
It was a little more important than Rivals. Those couple weeks.
But doesn't that mean your crew just got bigger?
I don't
You
know.
have more people
Yeah, do you have
to
an open slot
conscript into
there?
your crew.
So ironically, I'm in a crew with Alex Rogopoulos, and his wife is in our crew as well. And we actually he kicked her out of the crew when she had her baby.
That's true.
Priorities.
Yep.
Everybody can handle their thing.
And here's what I love, actually. It's like, Alex is a great dude, great friend of mine, and his heart is like, I mean, he's
Name
like
dropping.
one of the most like conscientious and giving and sensitive people I know. What I like about Rivals mode is that it changes people, and it sort of imbues the game with this sort of competitive sort of framework where, like, week over week, there are stakes. And so, like, I get texts from Alex being like, Daniel, I'm watching you, and you're not playing enough Rock Band. And I'm like, no!
I've had Alex walk over to my desk a couple times. It's very intimidating.
Yeah, no, and you're like, oh, hey, Alex, how's it going? He's like, no,
This is serious.
you're not playing Rock Band, and you need to be. And so, I mean, from a game development standpoint, that's like, I love that it's really the first time that I think we've built anything into Rock Band in the history of the franchise that sort of drives people's behavior. So much of Rock Band to me historically is really like, I love music and I love the game, and I'll play quick play and play the songs I want, and it'll be fun because it's a fun game. And finally we have like a meta game that sort of is like kind of framing what people do, and to me that's like that's my favorite thing about it. It sort of focuses my play as a player week over week, and I love that. However, we're looking at the data, and one of the biggest issues that we have seen is that there are a ton of crews that only have like 1 or 2 people in them. And it's not because they don't have friends, or that they are unpopular, or that there's something wrong with their personality. It's like, these are like really sensitive, smart, engaging people who just haven't quite figured out how to connect with other Rock Band people, and it's not their fault.
Are you pandering to me?
No, I'm saying we made a couple of decisions with the launch kind of Rivals feature set that I think it's funny. We were really worried that it would be this thing where people would like blast into other people's crews and just be a dick and like not like be like cool, and so like we really wanted the host to be able to approve kind of everybody who jumped in, and we really wanted sort of to kind of protect the community from itself in a lot of ways. And in retrospect, I think that was a mistake, and we made it needlessly hard for people to kind of get into a crew with people they don't know, and just to sort of like explore what Rivals is. And right now there's this funky UX where it's like, oh, I'm not in a crew, I want to get in a crew, so you sort of either build one and then wait for people to accept your invitation, which could take days or weeks or whatever, or you sort of apply to be in a crew, and then you have that same waiting game. And so
my issue is that I actually don't have a lot of friends on PS4 specifically. Like, I'm primarily a PC gamer. Like, I'll play on my console if we've got like a party, or I have a specific game I want to play that I can only play there. But it's like socially, I feel like I gravitate a little bit more toward PC at times, and so I don't have people in my like PS4 sphere who I can just invite to my crew. And so then I came back to Harmonix and I started poking around through Rivals, and I looked at everyone's crew the first time I came in, and it was like people were like had a bajillion points and everything, and I felt intimidated by trying to look at and join those crews and like subscribing to that process. So I was actually afraid of all of you.
Well, and for good reason. They're scary. They're saying really mean things. They're
What
not
else
actually.
are they saying?
No, but so
Yeah.
one of the themes kind of that was sort of rippling through a lot of our like design discussions is how do we kind of make it easier for people to connect with other people, and really we're starting with Rivals because we there was some I don't want to say kind of easy calls, but we really understood the problem, and are working to address kind of that. So we're going to be rolling out an update probably in a couple of weeks-ish. I'm not sure exactly, but we're sort of introducing sort of a wrinkle where players will be able to tag a crew as public, which means that people can just join. There's no sort of action on the part of the host that is required to sort of approve the invitation. And of course the crews can also tag their crew as private, at which point sort of the same rules that exist now apply. But my hope is that for people that are either sort of looking to explore the feature, or people like John who are looking to sort of meet new folks or connect with kind of like-minded Rivals players, that this will be a pretty low friction way to
Holy shit, crap, are people being mean to you right now?
Oh, really? What are they saying?
I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, come on.
No,
That's
just keep going.
No, I must know.
No, just keep going.
Keep waffling.
This is good for me.
Are they calling me Grandpa?
Yes.
Oh, boy. I'm actually 23 years old. I don't understand.
That's not true.
Working at Harmonix makes me older.
Age it 4 times the rate of a normal human?
Yeah.
4 times.
Yeah, 6 times.
What else is coming in that update?
I don't know. What else?
I think you basically covered it. The primary motivation for this update is making sure that that people who are having trouble finding larger crews, and people who want to be able to figure out what types of crews they're going to join, to make that whole process smoother and encourage all of you to play with each other.
Yeah.
So we basically are seeing the behavior where people aren't joining crews larger than 1 or 2 people, and we want to fix that.
Well, and then there are some crews that are 9 or 10 people, and those are kind of filled with ultra competitive folks who are sort of on that quest for Bloodstone, and we're seeing that sort of trough. I mean, of course, with every update that we do, there are it's an opportunity for us to fix some bugs and to kind of respond to some of the stuff that comes in through our social channels, and so there's more than just that. I think we did a pass on the pitch arrows just to make those a little more different from one another, so that it's easier to kind of track your part as you're singing harmonies. That was a specific feature that came in through kind of our dialogue with all of you.
Yep. I saw that in the build today. They look good.
Yeah. No, Ryan did.
And they like fit together into a cool like feathered arrow when they're all on top of each other.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
So there, yeah. I mean, obviously there will be like detailed build notes and all that stuff, but that's sort of the first phase of kind of feature development that we're rolling out, in November. And what's the next slide?
Is the next one?
The next one. Oh, right.
Ooh.
So yeah, so online quick play. And this is sort of the thing that, probably has been like the most consistent criticism going all the way back. And, here's the thing that I want to say before we actually get into this is like, the double-edged sword of like this roadmap thing, it makes a lot of people on the team really antsy to talk about stuff we're working on because it's a creative process and things change daily. And so, I'm going to sort of, talk about what we're working on and what our goals are. And I guarantee that the actual implementation will shift between now and kind of early 2018, which is when that next release is scheduled to go live. Our focus is actually on a lot of the same sort of concepts that I talked about when we were talking about Rivals mode. It's like the biggest issue with SOMP, as far as I can tell, and you all sort of are right there, is that like it's overly constrained. It's hard to find people to play because you're limited to your friends list, and then you're also limited by all of the other things that make Rock Band just sort of logistically challenging. You have to be online at the same time. You have to sort of find people that are wanting to play a different instrument. You have to find people that have same DLC, all that kind of stuff. So there we're trying to punch through some of that friction, and that the high level sort of challenge as presented to the development team was to fix that and make it easier to get in a session with people that you don't know who are online when you are. And that's kind of at a high level what we're doing. What would you add to that?
No, that was good.
Did you say what we're specifically doing?
Yeah.
What?
Did you say what we're specifically
Put it in
doing?
one word. What do you got for us?
I mean, I can talk about sort of
There's a piece of paper that tells you everything on it.
Well, so that,
Your bullet points.
So Troy and people here wrote down like the features that we have in the backlog. So I'll talk about them with the caveat that they may change, that's just the way it is. But we are looking to basically put together a list of active sessions that anybody can join. So it's like a way to just browse the sort of active Rock Band action, and along with that would sort of be all of the sort of tags, and it's like as a host I can ideally constrain my session to people who have, I don't know, so like 200 or more DLC songs or other sort of criteria that sort of broadcast the type of player that they are looking for. You'll notice that I have gone out of my way to not use the matchmaking term, and
Which is
That's why we were kind of.
That's
the
the one.
theme
Yeah.
of the stream right now.
But like here's the thing. It's like what I want is for players to be able to connect and play online with other players at their leisure. What I don't want is for players to hit a button and then have to wait for like some amount of time for us to sort of figure out the best spot to put you. So like, I have some issues actually with the way that other games have done online matchmaking, and it's possible that, we can, really I want to serve up to...
Are you picking on our own games? Like our own past games?
I mean, it's our job to be critical of the work that we've done and respond. That's like a thing that I'm very serious
I think this
about,
is the right.
John.
I think this is the
very
right.
serious.
I think this is the right way to handle it for Rock Band right now.
And ultimately, like as with all things Rock Band, like our investment is directly proportional to the activity and sort of health of the community. So, we're fixing a thing that I think is a pretty big problem with respect to kind of online play, and if we see the impact there, and that the change that we're making works, and all of a sudden we see sort of way more people playing online, then that's an area where we'll look to continue to invest in. So I don't know. I mean, it's the trick with online play, and one of the reasons why we sort of left it out of Rock Band 4 to begin with is that it's a really, really hard feature to develop. It's really expensive. And the other thing and this is true even from the RB3 days, is that most people don't play online. And my expectation is that sort of as we get into sort of the this will be our third holiday of Rock Band 4, and that the players that we see are sort of evolving into really good, capable, kind of technologically savvy players who will play online, which is why I'm psyched to be sort of putting this work in. But that's always the sort of like to what degree are you tailoring your game to that sort of super top tier excellent player? And I think as we get into this age of Rock Band, that feels like the right bet to make. Personally, it's like I really want the game to evolve along with our players.
Yeah, just reading through some of the chat, some of the things that I wanted to comment on that you mentioned, that that people don't play online. Well, when we think about features, a lot of the time when you're staring at like a 1 to 2 year like monolithic project schedule, you're looking at, okay, what is the percentage of players do we think that are going to access this feature or not? And what I like about where we're at with Rock Band right now is that we can focus on not the people who we can expect to buy a retail copy of the game, but the people who are actually playing the game right now. And so when you say people don't play multiplayer online, that's actually not even true anymore, because the people who are playing Rock Band are the people who are most likely at this point to be playing with each other online. So I really like that in the updates that we're doing right now, we can sort of change our development philosophy a little bit so that we are focused more on the people who are basically keeping this franchise alive at this point.
Totally. I absolutely agree.
So we skipped over the if we're good on the update stuff. Is there any other comments on the update?
I mean,
we got a couple. We skipped an entire page of stuff in our.
That sounds like us.
Season 3.
Yeah, but I was waiting for the
slide.
The slide.
There you go.
Hey, look at that.
We got pictures of
We're going back in time now.
So Boggy is one of our artists. He's a brilliant artist. He actually curates a cartoon that
A really
is
good
absolutely
cartoon.
worth checking out on his social media channels. And he put together, like, he's an avid sort of biker guy. He rides, and he wanted to put together this like motorcycle jacket theme. So these will be your season 3 rewards. And of course they sort of run the gamut from like, pretty like ragtag for your sort of bronze and silver up through like, an amazingly detailed and awesome bloodstone coat that I'm sure.
Can we talk about what these assets are yet? Are we allowed to do that?
What do you mean?
Can I
Yes.
talk about what these things are right now?
I think I know where you're going, and yeah.
You mean?
I just want to get specific. I want to get more specific. Can we?
You can do whatever you want.
I mean, sure.
All right. So one of the things we wanted to do with season rewards is give them a little bit more thematic tie-in. So we went back to what? Did you say that?
No, I didn't. And also,
Did you just take your thunder away?
No, but
Am I
like,
jumping ahead?
no.
All right. I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah,
Do
keep
it.
going.
All right. We wanted more of a
I'm going to
theme.
make disappointed faces over here.
Okay. We wanted more of a thematic tie-in. So, wow, you're freaking me out.
Come on.
Say your thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm just playing.
So not only are we expanding what we want the assets to be for a season itself. So we want anyone who participates in a season to get rewarded for that. So I think season 3 is going to be some jackets. Is that right?
Those are the jackets that we have on
Okay,
the
so those are
slide
the jackets right there, and there's actually a jacket that corresponds to all of the tiers. So if you're a bronze player or you're a silver player, like that was me this season, as I was silver, I would very much have liked a jacket for my effort. So in the future, that's one of the things we want to be able to do. So you'll get rewarded for all the tiers, basically. So season 3 is jackets, and we also wanted to make it cooler to tie seasonal assets together. So in future seasons, we want to actually allow you to complete more of an outfit. So we have a helmet that will go along with that, and we've got some pants that will go along with that. So if you get all Bloodstone, you'll see a pretty cool looking character at the end of that.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's they all work together, and yet they're all sort of awesome on their own as well. The other thing that I'm super psyched about for season 3 is that we've got a theme that sort of runs through the whole thing. We did that for season 2 as well. The season 2 theme was really sort of like XP Funhouse kind of modifier thing, where each week had a different sort of focus, and if you sort of were paying attention, you could get extra XP by playing the instrument, or we had an online play modifier for 1 week. And for season 3, the idea is that each challenge will focus on a different decade of music. So we're starting with the 50s and 60s, and that's reflected in our DLC for this week, which I'm super psyched about. Chuck Berry and Jackson 5, which is awesome. And and so kind of, I think, you can kind of, I think it'll be fun to sort of reveal the DLC up. Obviously the next challenge will be the 60s and the 70s and on through, but that DLC will tie in, and I'm super psyched about our
Talk into the mic.
calendar.
Which week are you most excited for, just decade-wise?
Well, I was born in the 70s.
Wow, really?
I'm really old, and that's what I really like, music from the 70s, because I remember it from being in the womb.
Don't feed into their snarky grandpa narrative, okay? Don't take any of their guff.
If I shave, I look like 30 years younger.
You really do.
You got a lot of compliments in the beard. That's not the
You're getting called Susbeard, among other things.
Nice.
beard guy and tablet guy.
Yeah, I was the tablet guy.
Yeah,
Beard man and tablet guy.
That makes sense, yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of sort of thematic consistency, and I think we're trying to kind of follow that thread as we make decisions about future seasons. The season rewards, as John mentioned, and kind of sort of use that to direct even our sort of DLC and sort of music acquisition stuff.
Yeah.
What's next? What's that next slide?
It's the next DLC.
Oh, sweet. So
Early
yeah.
November DLC.
Ready?
Yeah, so
ready for
people who kind of know their music history will be able to figure out what's going on just based on sort of what I just said about the seasons. But there's some awesome stuff coming.
Sure is.
And,
DLC.
Yeah. And then December DLC.
We don't have
Oh my god.
The rest of November, yeah.
That was a tease.
We hid some good stuff in the back half of November.
Yeah. Fact.
Which song on that list are you most looking forward to?
Blister in the Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I like some Bad Reputation.
Yeah.
I remember testing that song a long time ago.
Yep. No, I mean, I don't know. All of those are winners as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. What are people?
They're excited about the music. Is what they're excited about.
Good.
Some good choices.
I mean, I don't know. It's like, it's funny. The music selection for Rock Band is super polarizing, and yet, like,
Into the mic.
I'm pretty happy with almost everything we've put out this year. I think we have a really strong, kind of end to 2017. So there's no holes. I like it.
And that isn't all of the November DLC.
Oh no,
obviously.
that is the first 2 weeks of it. I will say they're all coming right around the same time. That's 70s and 80s week.
Yep.
And then 90s and the first chunk of the 2000s, because that's a huge decade that we split across 2 weeks.
Yeah, and and I will say, it's like the other sort of major kind of initiative that we have is really sort of, paying our sort of respect to history and kind of getting into the 10th anniversary of Rock Band 1, and so we've got some fun things planned around that I don't want to talk about today because it's awesome, and we want to sort of hold that surprise for later. But there will be more.
So just a quick wrap up of everything we talked about today. Is the final slide. That's
a lot. And I'm assuming all of you are plugged into our social media. If you're not, you should be. And there's we'll be kind of getting into more detail both about season 3 and also build notes for this upcoming release, details on where we are with the online features, and then some really fun stuff to talk about around the 10th anniversary. Now, presumably, also people have gotten the lowdown on the Rock Band Diaries program, which we're running, where we've sort of asked folks to email us, their Rock Band stories. I think Rock Band's one of those franchises that not partly just because it's been there for forever, but it's such a classic social game. I feel like we have we've seen a lot of stories just in the responses so far for it's like people who met people, their significance through playing Rock Band or whatever, and I think for me, I kind of want to
scoff a little more in it. I really will think you're a grandpa.
What?
When you were talking about meeting people through a video game.
He didn't say people. He said significance.
Others, yes.
No, he didn't even say significant others.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I met my wife working on video games.
That kind of counts,
the thing. It's like, whatever. I don't care.
I got some hot questions from chat.
Yeah,
let's hear it.
Let's do it.
So, one question around, we only had a 1 week break this week.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them why? There's a very good reason why.
It worked out nice with Christmas timing.
That's
Take
it.
Christmas off.
That was all.
Yeah, a lot of the feedback that we got from kind of the 2 week break that we did at the end of season 1 was that it was too long. People wanted to get right back into it. So, I think we look at the calendar and sort of plan things out. But this season 3 kind of does sit nicely up against sort of where we want to be October, November, and December.
Yeah.
How long will submissions for RB Diaries be open? Derek, do you know offhand?
I don't really think we've put a hard end date on it. Tell us your stories. We just like reading them.
Before the 10th anniversary, for sure.
Yeah, which is the 20th.
Yes.
21st, 20th.
So get those in soon.
Yeah, don't wait. But also if you miss the deadline, we'll still read your emails.
Yeah. Is Slow Ride the full version?
No,
is it the 8-minute version?
It's the 4-minute version.
4-minute version.
We didn't want to have to charge $4 for it.
Yeah, we already did a 12-minute song this year.
Yes. Okay, I'm seeing a couple questions about entitlements and sort of the legacy entitlements, and that is a priority for us. It's a weird thing where a lot of those issues are not issues that we can fix directly. So, that the way that works is basically us on the phone with our counterparts at Microsoft and Sony Europe, where we're working with them to figure out why some of these, really, everything should have just worked, right? It's that was kind of the original plan. Then, of course, you realize that we have thousands of songs, and they're all some of them are configured differently than others, and so some of the bugs are bugs that we fix, and some of the bugs are bugs that the first-party team has to fix. And the dialogue is really just around discovering what the issue is, and then we fix it. And we're doing that at the same time as working through all of our patch submissions, working through all of our regular DLC schedules, and also sort of all of the other kind of behind the scenes relationship stuff that happens with companies like Microsoft and Sony. So I'm not here to tell you that there's a date where it will all work. I am here to tell you that it is still in active development, and we're working on it. We have a team working on it, and so do Microsoft and both Sony's.
Yeah, I can tell you that that's something that we have. We basically have weekly status updates about that stuff.
Right, and
So,
there's a comment here
slow
from
burn.
Pretentious Peach, who's saying, yeah, we've been saying that since October 2015, and that's because we have been working on it since October 2015. So it's not rhetoric. And in fact, like, if you go back and look at the amount of things that weren't working in October 2015 relative to the things that are, it's obvious that we've been working on it. So, please.
Sorry for Daniel getting very hostile at you.
No, that's not hostile. I'm just saying. It's like, yeah, we've been working on this for a really long time, and it's hard, and that's kind of,
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have been saying that we're still working on it. We've also been working on Rock Band 4 since 2014. Bad, Grandpa, bad. Come on.
Next question.
People
Let's
are
do this.
funny.
So we also are going to show off the new DLC right after this as well, in case you are interested. We're going to play it all, I believe, Derek.
Yes,
correct?
we are going to do
Everything
this
we
week's 2 and the 5 so far that we've detailed in November.
Yes.
Yep. More super long songs, sure. So, here's the thing. It's like a lot of what I'm seeing in the chat are, people people like blasting out sort of music they want and features they want. And, it's kind of flying through. And some of the things, I will say, are things that are on my radar, and some of them are not. And what I want is for people to stay vigilant. It's like we do prioritize based on the sort of, sort of what we can do with the staff we have and all of that. There's like a whole logistics side, so like, for example, supporting the GHL guitar is like actually a tremendously difficult proposition with, just a ton of stuff. And, it's unlikely that we'll ever do that. But there are other things that it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It just means that it's really hard. And so, is it more or less valuable than other stuff? But like, so please continue to advocate for the things that you want to see. And, they do end up as, items in our backlog that we then, get to when we get to. So, RBN revival, that's a thing that we've seen a lot. And, I've talked about that on this type of stream before. Venue select and other practice mode speeds. That is all stuff that is already in our backlog, and we're sort of.
Can I put a kill to one?
Yep.
We're not planning to do loot boxes ever. I don't believe. What do you feel about that?
Lawyers wouldn't like if you say ever, because that's very definite.
Excuse me.
We actually had a pretty good discussion about. Robbie's shaking his head in the back of the room.
Really doesn't care for loot boxes.
We made sure that all of our future Rock Band proposals included some permutation of loot boxes, just because Robbie specifically asked for it. So you have him to thank for when we introduce loot boxes next week. I'm kidding. No, we actually had a really good discussion internally about, and it actually wasn't because anybody proposed anything like this, but in general, we're looking at Rock Band, and it's like we want people who play the game to feel rewarded for the time that they spend in it. And I think I said that in some public forum recently, and somebody was like, loot boxes. Like they thought that that's what it meant. And so this whole discussion popped up about, like, would that be something that would ever make sense in a context like Rock Band? And I actually don't think so. Like, at least not in the form that I often see them in video games today, like where... So on one end, you have games that have like a lottery-based system, and they're providing rewards in the game that actually give people an unfair advantage against other people. I actually don't like that. I don't think that people should be given sort of like a privileged edge versus other players. I don't think that makes any sense. And so that's one sort of form that I've seen lottery-based system take, and they don't work for that reason. I think companies make money off of them, and so in that regard, people who are looking at the dollars and cents for a project are going, well, it's working. But you also have to do the right thing for yourself and for your players. So I don't like that personally. That's not my taste. That's not the way I want to design video games. So there's that. And then on the other end, you have rewards that are designed to engage with you in a way so that I'm just thinking of a game like Heroes of the Storm, which is free to play, and they're offering a bunch of assets that I didn't pay for Heroes of the Storm, so the business model for that title has to work a certain way. I am much more in favor of a model like that, where the value of those things is sort of obvious to the players. So that's what I like better. But Rock Band kind of fits in neither of those worlds, right? It's one, I don't want to do the one version, which is sort of giving people unfair advantages over another player just based on the money they're spending extra, and then the sort of the version where you're rewarding things because you're in a free to play model. We don't have a free to play model, so when we're talking about stuff like that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me personally. So that is not an evolution of the game that we're seriously discussing at this time. How was that answer?
That was perfect. That was amazing.
You lost me in the middle part. Just kidding.
I got an amazing one. It's a very technical question. JV, is probably a good question for you.
I'm still getting back into the swing of things, so I'll do my best. But I don't promise that I'll have a good answer for you.
Conceptual program. So, or question rather. Xbox Insider Preview. You're familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
Xbox Insider Preview.
I saw that. That's a good question.
Yeah, they recently enabled game patch testing with games, basically to test out patches.
Yep.
Beta patches testing.
Yep.
Is that something that we are considering or looking at all? Or Rock Band?
No, you may have a different answer than I do. This isn't this isn't something that is at like the I would call it the initiative level for us right now, but it is like a shower thought that I had returning to the game the other day. So especially as we continue development, one of the things there are some things that I would like for us to be doing better about how we approach this, approach live development, and that is in the vein of things that I'm interested in exploring in the future. Often with a lot of stuff like this, the desire to do it and how feasible it is within our development constraints are sometimes at odds. So actually, Microsoft has had a beta program for quite some time, and that's always come up. Like every single project is something that we want to do. And for whatever reason, either we're in alpha beta and we just don't have time to deal with how to structure our game to fit ingest into that pipeline that they have, or we simply don't even have the time to take in people's feedback to make that a worthwhile endeavor. So
it's funny. I mean, a lot of times the way that shakes out in practice is that it actually prolongs your development phase. So like our actual sort of, what we try to do is work on stuff and ship it as fast as we can, and then look at, obviously we test and we sort of do our due diligence. We do a lot of play testing and all of that. But the idea that we're sort of launching a subset of features publicly to some people, collecting feedback, and then rolling that feedback into the feature development would tack on months. So, I love the program, and to John's point, I love what the program stands for. I love a development process where you're engaged directly with, all of you, people who hate beards and old people, apparently. But
and I also prefer beta programs and for largely online features and also for things like economies. So that if our feature set ends up in more of a direction like that, that's definitely the odds are that we will be talking more seriously about things like that in that sort of a feature set. That's just my feeling about it in the abstract.
Yep. No. I totally agree in the abstract, and I think that's kind of the balance that we're looking at is sort of how do we sort of take that feedback, make sure that we've got all the information we need, and then flip something around to the public, because that's really where my heart is at. Is like giving all of you awesome sort of upgrades and new things to do in the context of Rock Band.
Are there good questions
Uh,
or bad ones? I don't.
How
You could-
are
I don't discriminate.
how's your day going? How's everything? It's a lot. It keeps coming up.
Good. My day's
Yeah.
going great.
Daniel is so full of crap.
What?
He was like so surly on the way down here.
Yeah.
I'm calling you out.
No, you know whose fault it is?
Mine?
No,
Probably
Derek's.
mine.
What?
Yeah. So it's funny. It's like in the marketing world, like we obsess over plans, and then we're like a month out from something, and Derek's all like, I don't know if I like your plan, and I'm like, what in God's name are you talking about? And why do you bring that up now?
By the way, this is the most passive aggressive, uncomfortable way I have ever seen somebody deliver feedback.
Yeah.
I guess
Anyway.
this is my fault.
But
No, I'm joking. You're fine.
yeah.
You haven't been that grumpy.
And I think Derek is great. So here are a couple of other things that seem like they are pretty sort of consistent in here.
Daniel did not want either of us commenting about our days, by the way.
Nope, he just shut that one right down.
Keep going. No, keep going.
Yeah, go ahead. What's
We
the
see
next
where
question?
your priorities are. Next question.
Yep. Call a spade here. So Score Duel. There are a lot of people who are really interested in Score Duel. I love Score Duel, and sits in the backlog. For me, here's a funny thing. Is like what I don't want is to sort of draw from the well, exclusively from the well of things that we have done before. And my sense is that there are people in the chat who basically want Rock Band 4 to be Rock Band 3 or Rock Band 2 or whatever it is. And I think there are a lot of things in those games that are great, that deserve to be carried forward, and other things less so. We don't have a plan to release Score Duel. My sense is that a sort of direct head-to-head competitive mode would be cool, and that's a thing that we're thinking about in the context of next year.
It's sometimes hard with a feature like Score Duel because they're like I get why players would want Score Duel, and back when I was a tester on Rock Band 1, there were a lot of cool moments that we had during development because of Score Duel, where you could basically take the two best guitarists on the team and pit them head to head. Like, I don't know if anybody remembers Grace, but she was like hands down the best guitarist, at least at Harmonix at that point in time. And I think I beat her on Suffragette City in a Score Duel. Like if this was a situation in a leaderboard, like I would never ever beat her high score in a million years. But in the moment, like because we were head to head and like nerves were a factor, there was this really cool gameplay moment where I beat her, and it was like the crowning achievement of my life. So that was cool, and so I get that. That to me seems to be the appeal of a feature like Score Duel. Now, on the other hand, there are sort of other aspects of the game to me that fulfill some of the creative, like where Score Duel fits in the ecosystem, right? Like their leaderboards exist so that players who are interested in sort of topping one another can do that. And the other thing about Rock Band is that the note track is the same note track every time you revisit the game for each song, and so it's not like your fundamental gameplay experience, aside from what you're successfully nailing and not nailing, or where you deploy, or if you save somebody in an online experience or something like that, the experience is generally going to be, it's the same level every single time, and the way you interact with it in a game like you would a match in Overwatch or something, your experience is not going to be totally different in the same environment every single time. And so I'm personally less excited about a feature like Score Duel, given all of that context, because I like that at least we provide players to compete with one another right now. So that was probably a way longer answer than you probably wanted about that, and certainly a disappointing one.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I mean, someone in here also sort of remarked that, like, the name of the game is not necessarily cloning a feature, but sort of thinking about it and bringing it back in a cool way. And
Yep.
you know, my interpretation there is like thinking about sort of like, why is Score Duel interesting to people
Yes.
who are really good at the game, and is there a thing that's missing in the Rock Band 4 sort of feature set that might you know, actually sort of bring people together. You know?
And I will say, by the way, that is totally like, if like when you are communicating at us about this stuff or with us about this stuff, I am so much more engaged in the conversation when players are thinking about features from that point of view. Like when I hear, like think of it this way, like if you're trying to motivate a group of people to make cool, engaging stuff, they need to find a way to make it their own. And so that's always something in the backs of our heads when we're leading a team is like, okay, we can sort of, you know, this is the reason why we don't work for a company that makes like clones of other games for the most part. So we want to make stuff that can evolve over time. So the more that you're like, okay, I know we keep saying Score Duel, what we really mean is this. The more you can sort of change the way you're having that conversation with us, and part of our jobs is to lead you in that direction as well. So this isn't all on you. But the more you can do that, the more engaged we are in the conversation as well.
Yeah, I mean, every conversation that I have with anybody, whether it's at like a PAX or whatever, I'm just sort of out and about talking to people about Rock Band. You know, it's people sort of are like, oh, I want thing X, and I want to know why. Why do you want that? What can't you do that you want to do? Is it just a thing that you remember that you like? I mean, that's valid, but like, really, a lot of what we're trying to do is sort of get down to the, like, what do people like about Rock Band? What is it about Rock Band that's special? How do we sort of expand on sort of the things that sort of deliver that sort of endorphin rush, as sort of Alex might say. So yeah, the other one
I got the one.
Yeah,
I got the titular question that everyone's been asking
what
about the entire time. Can we comment? Can we comment on kind of the character creator changes? Or is that what you were gonna?
I mean, that was kind of what I wanted to talk to also. And the when we were developing Rock Band 4, I wanted to cut the character creator because I'm crazy, and like I was, it's like a really expensive feature that it ripples through our animation system. It requires motion capture. It's a big thing. And basically, to their credit, the rest of the team was like, no, this is a huge part of Rock Band, right? This is like...
I actually have a piece of trivia about this.
Yeah.
So our original roadmap for Rock Band 4 did not include the character creator. And there was this monumental survey we sent out. And actually, the way you all prioritized features led us to immediately reintroduce character creation back into our roadmap.
No, and I acknowledge that in the world where sort of like you have Guitar Hero and you have Rock Band, it's like one of the defining elements of Rock Band was that it was about you. The fantasy was about sort of seeing you on stage and sort of building out a character that looks like you. And so we did the best we could to build out a character creator. And I know that there
given human
are
resources and
some things missing from it. And I'll say right here that to get into bone deformation and like scalable body size and shape and stuff like that would require us redoing the animations. It's a really big deal. And not to say it's not super important, it's just really expensive. So,
and for what it's worth, there is interest on the development side to take a fresh look at this problem specifically. I think our fear anytime it comes up is that it will be absolutely cost prohibitive based on the way that we made this system to begin with. I'll say that I love the way that Rock Band turned out, and especially what we've done with it since launch. And this is one area where if I could like redo something, I would redo this specifically over almost anything else. Like this would probably be my number one.
Yeah, no, it's
also really expensive.
I mean, and to be fair, to myself, my motivation to cut was not that I didn't think it was cool. It was just, my mind frame was like, it's like, okay, what we're going to ship in 2015 is going to be the sort of, what we call in the business your MVP, right? The smallest possible thing that would still sort of convey the fantasy or communicate the fantasy of Rock Band. and then we would sort of see what was missing and add it in. And,
Our thesis that year was that Rock Band belonged on the latest generation of consoles, and we needed to find a way to do that.
And my thing with the character creator is not that it's not valuable or cool, it's that some people care about it and some people don't care about it, you know? And so, you know, there are a lot of people, and we see this, you know, more people than not use prefabs, and that's fine.
And they're wrong.
Well, it's not,
and those people are wrong.
No,
and Derek is wrong.
I would suggest that this is not a time to judge, John.
You got to give Derek feedback earlier on this stream, and so I'm going to do so now as well. Derek is wrong about this issue.
Derek's wrong about a lot of issues.
Whoa. Okay.
Okay, wait. Let's move on. I was joking.
I'm joking too.
Anyway, we have a lot of feelings about character creator in summation.
But so to me, it's sort of like, you know, what I love about Rock Band. I think Derek's probably coming from the same spot. Is like playing the music and actually getting into the venue and you know, I actually I've had a lot of, you know, it's like I played a lot of Rock Band in my day. Like the people that would sort of like, oh no, I want to tweak my mustache before we play a song when you're at a party. It's like, that's so annoying.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's not the right time or place, but that's like a social problem.
And I'm not saying that any feature not required for 100% of users makes it irrelevant. In no way. I mean, obviously we shipped a character creator. Like the fact is, it was incredibly relevant to 100% of the players, and that was you know, a bit of research that we did. And I think you know, my point here is that trying to figure out a way to say this, like, you know, we have $1 to spend and we have $10 of things we want to do, right? And so, like, you know, we have to make sure that that dollar is being spent on the things that are the highest value across the board. And you know, you know, here's
and that doesn't mean that we get that right all the time. Like I have my, I'm not going to share this list with you, but I have my own internal list of things that dollars I would have swapped.
No,
so
I think everybody does. And you know, I guess my point about the character creator is, you know, it's definitely in the backlog. We have a strong sort of vocal core of people who are on the dev team who are advocating for all the stuff that, you know, that I'm seeing in the list. And ultimately, it's, you know, a decision that we're making about, you know, do we do character creator stuff, or do we, you know, try to fix up some of the issues that we have with SOMP? Do we online quickplay? We call it SOMP because we anachronize everything or whatever. So, you know, it's a balance. And, you know, what I wanted to say about it was just that, you know, we know it's a thing, and you know, and like I said, we have a lot of folks on the team who are pretty strong advocates for you know, a more fully featured character creator. I can't say we're going to build it, but maybe we will.
Are there new questions? What's next?
Is it about that time?
Yeah, it is about that time to wrap up and move on to the DLC, to playing the DLC that we just announced.
Okay, well, so hey, we have 449 people who are tuned in right now, and I want to thank every single one of you for taking time to, you know, talk to me and Derek and John. You know, I think this dialogue is super healthy, and you know, if there's one thing that I want to sort of leave is like we're here and we are paying attention. And all right, wait, I have to talk about the stage kit because oh my god,
no, we were so close to getting out without the stage kit.
No, it's like, has anyone? So apparently, all 449 people who own a stage kit are tuned into this stream because like who bought the stage kit?
There were like 4 or 5 people.
That was like, I mean, you can't even buy it now. How old? So you're calling me grandpa, and these people here clearly are, you know, they've been playing Rock Band for 8 years.
You are about to literally get played out right now by music.
I love it.
Not only do they have a stage kit, but they apparently still have the fog machine fluid.
That's crazy.
I know.
I love it.
Look, the stage kit was the most ridiculous thing that has ever been built.
It was not the most ridiculous.
It was.
I don't know. Bandmates were pretty ridiculous.
Bandmates were awesome. I wish I got one.
I don't know.
Oh man, I'm so sad for you because
I was too
do you
young.
know how many were in the office at our old office that got thrown out when we moved?
More than one per employee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, the other thing that I want to say about the stage kit is that, you know, I mean, we put so much effort into supporting last gen peripherals on current gen consoles, and at some point, Holmes, you got to draw the line because like it's really hard. So you know, I don't keep your hopes up for the stage kit. Steve, if you're listening, it's probably not going to happen.
He just talked to me about that.
I know. Our CEO wants stage kit support so bad, and it's so funny because he's also like, you know.
Did he tell you what he does? I'm totally outing him right now,
Does he,
but
like,
apparently
coddle his own at home?
he collects stage kits.
That's
right. He did just say that.
We were on the elevator, and he was saying that he buys them off of eBay when they go on, and he hoards them. So he's got like dozens at his.
That's why he wants it as a feature, so then he can just sell them.
I
I'm
know,
not even making
that's his
this up.
retirement scheme.
I'm not making this
I
up.
believe you.
No, I was there. I was on that elevator with you. Too. I remember that conversation.
I just, you know, in a word, so what I love about Rock Band is that it is a major platform, right? We're talking to hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people when we're talking about Rock Band. And when we're talking about the stage kit, really, we're talking to dozens of people. And again, I love all of you. I love that you're here and, like, you know, that you care. It makes me super happy. And
This is what Daniel sounds like when he's being sincere, by the way.
It's rare.
Yep.
Crushed the hopes of all of them.
It's time for new hopes.
Speaking of time for new hopes,
Yep.
It's about that time.
so we're gonna
We're gonna
You wanna
take just a quick
unnotify
second
that action.
to swap over, and then we're going to play the new DLC, which is
So-
Chuck Berry's Johnny Be Good.
Yes, and what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by
Cut
stage
off
kit
is the
people
word.
was thank you very much for hanging out with us and telling us what you want, and don't stop. We actually care deeply about what you think. Even if all you think about and care about is the stage kit, I still want to hear about it.
He's saying that because I'm the person who reads it all. I
Yeah.
just tell him later. Wow, this week nobody asked about the stage kit, and he's like, "Whew."
Yeah, except it's always like this week the same people asked about the stage kit.
all right. Are we ready to switch?
Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
we're good. See you soon.
It's literally right now. I'm just going to Camp 3.
We're just actually just swapping over
Yeah,
right
just
now?
stand up and walk
Wow,
to
this
your
is
left.
the fastest we've done this ever, huh? Cool.
That's it. That's
I'm just gonna pull this chair out of the way.
Who's playing?
You.
I'm playing?
You.
I didn't sign up for this. I actually, I do have to go at some point.
Well, you know what they say.
What time is it?
If you want to go.
Sussman's here. Give him a guitar.
Yeah, I can play.
Yeah, your mic would be.
Sussman is on the schedule to play.
I do have to go.
Okay.
To make sure that I.
You're staying with Mike?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Mike.
Where do you want?
I'll take it.
There you go. Oh. I guess I'm on drums. I kind of just sat here.
Yeah, I mean, if you want the drums, you can have the drums. I'm not going to fight you for
Do I
that.
have to do anything with this microphone, or do I just...
You just set
There
it
you go.
down,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it'll do its own thing.